Good morning, everybody. How we doing today? It's Thursday. I'm out here this morning with Ian Renfrew, owner. You guys met him last week. Owner of Brown Dog Tackle, and we went out this morning to film a jerkbait walleye video. Well, we filmed the jerkbait part of it.
Yeah, we washed some jerkbaits today.
We filmed the jerkbait portion of the video. We didn't connect with any walleyes. You had what, a smallmouth and a pick roll.
Yeah. Yep.
Another smallmouth on and off quick. Not anything like what we expected. For this is now the second day in a row where the night before I've looked at the wind forecast, and it has said, well, this morning it was supposed to be again 3 to 5, 5 to 8, depending on who you looked at, and it's blowing 10 to 15. And we stayed in the bay. We launched out of A&P Marina, and we stayed right here in the bay where it's somewhat protected, and even that had a 1.5 foot roll to it. So we didn't go running around this morning, but we did hit 3 or 4 good weed beds that we were fishing over the top of. And the last 2 days we've had the biggest mayfly hatch of the season.
Yeah.
And I mean, last night coming in, we were on the boat in the river. I've never seen anything like it. It was the first time in my life I'd seen when you looked up in the sky, like you couldn't see through them. There were so many of them. It was insane. Now, we know that affects the fish somewhat. Should it affect the reaction bite to a jerkbait?
No,
not really. I mean,
I did start to notice it last night, Walleye Wednesday. Obviously, we fished, and you could see the fish on the live scope. And you know, if you saw a 10, you might catch one. You know, so they were definitely getting where they were tougher to catch than the week before. That being said, there were some pretty good bags last night, and I mean, we caught them last night, and today was just, the bite was not there.
Was not there.
No, that's the thing about the jerkbait. You know, I mean, people have fallen in love with it in the last couple of years, but it's one of them things. It's a really good big fish bait, but you can strike out with it too. It's high risk, high reward. You know.
Well, and one of the things we were fighting today was the amount of debris on the surface, whether it be aquatic or insect. And that made it significantly tougher to work. Not that we're working, it's not like we're fishing at top water. These baits obviously dive and are subsurface, but you know, you can see the bill on that. Obviously it's getting down in the water column, but it's still got to come through there. It's still got to come through that surface stuff, and so we moved a couple different times until we found some clearer areas, although it didn't really make a difference today. You know, whatever, fishing's fishing, but this is something that we will do again. All 3 of these you got rigged up are the same one. That's not the deep dive. I'll let you go through quick your setup and what you're throwing and what you're throwing it on.
Yep. So our go-to bait that we're fishing 90% of the time is going to be the Mega Bass 110 plus 1. Just seems to be that depth they're in a lot. That bait covers it. This bait on the right, it dives about 6 to 7 feet, maybe 8 feet on a real long cast, but you're looking at about 7 foot. That's on 12 pound. That's 12 pound Sunline fluorocarbon. I've played around with 10 and 14 or whatever. The 12 just seems to be a real good overall for everything we do. But,
and when we were on video, you talked about, my first question was, how come you're not running braid to fluorocarbon leader? And you were saying that fishing that braid might have even been snapping it too fast, too hard, and that you're looking for a little bit of absorption.
Well, the fluorocarbon sinks too. That's the big thing about it. So it's going to run that bait deeper than you would be able to get it on braid.
And you and I talked earlier, and we'll say it for the camera. When you're jerkbaiting looking for walleyes, you're fishing them exclusively over the top of weeds.
Over the top or around the edges.
Around the edges.
Yeah, but
okay.
You're definitely, if you ain't around grass, you're most likely not catching them. So
interesting. And if you were jerkbaiting smallmouth, that wouldn't necessarily be the case.
No.
We caught smallmouth today over the top of weeds, but you would be looking for them over more hard bottom areas where they're cruising. That's fascinating, and most people I think would think it would be the exact reverse of that when you talked about bass versus walleye. That the bass would be in the grass and those walleyes would be out deep roaming. But
yeah, I think the bass want to be more on that chunkier rock type stuff, and these walleyes, to me, at least with this bite, getting them transition areas where it's grass and sand mixture, and you know, they're very rarely on them chunky rock spots, the walleyes, on at least where we're catching them. But
now,
equipment wise, this is the Shimano X Pride 6'10" medium heavy. It's pretty much known as like the ultimate jerkbait rod. It's as good as it gets. Corrado, this is the MGL. It's a little bit lighter than the other Corrados. I mean, this is, if you're looking for the ultimate jerkbait setup, this is it. But like on a tournament night, like last night, Wednesday night, we fished. I'll have one. This is my go-to. I got that one rigged up with the perch. After we go through them and get on them pretty hard, and you know, we can tell the bites died off, I'll run another color. That's like my second go-to, that PM Twilight. That's just, this is same setup, 7-1 gear ratio reel, 12-pound. This is a Corrado rod. It's a little bit more, if you're not looking to spend a fortune on a rod, this will get you a real good rod at a entry level price point, I'm gonna call it.
And that's still the medium heavy?
That's the medium heavy, yeah.
And you said this one was a 7-1?
No, every single one of these is 6'10".
6'10".
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'll have that rod set up with just a different color. Could be PM Twilight, could be, if it's real sunny, I like something maybe flashy, just to give them a different look. And then another Corrado setup, and this is gonna just be the regular 110. So this is bait's gonna run 3 to 4 foot, and when we're in the areas that are real grassed up and we can't get the 110+1 through it, we'll throw this guy over the top.
And so you're gauging where your weed tops are in the water column, whether you're going with the regular lip, the deep lip, and then they make the +2, which is an even deeper lip.
Yep.
And I was down at Scott Masucci's place at Lakeside Outfitters the other day, and to get ready for this shoot, I spent all my birthday money down there with him. And I said, I had $100, Scott. I want you to hook me up. And he did, but you don't get hooked up with a whole lot of stuff when one of these is running $25. When my wife saw this and she goes, "You spent $25 on one lure?" I go, "Yeah," and I don't do that often. And we did this specially for this video. But I did get 3, and you can see the size differences. So that 110 Junior is the one that Ian was just showing you on the one rod. Yeah, that didn't work yet. And then it goes to the +1 and then the +2. And I don't know, they're not showing you a dive to curve here, but that's going to depend on. So let's say it goes 3, 6, 10. Depends on where those weed tops are and how far you got to get down. I did also buy a couple Strike King KVD jerkbaits from Scott while I was down there. They're half the price. They're $12 instead of 25. And it is different. It's a different look. It's a different profile. Ian and I were talking this morning about these Japanese baits and how amazing they are. So this is the Strike King bait, and you can see it's got a little more bulk. It's certainly a bigger lip. It's a little bulkier through the head and shoulders than but if you put them side by side, you can see how much sleeker that megabass is through the head, coming off the bill, and it changes the way that the action is. Now, it's not like you can't, you know, no one will ever say, oh, you got to throw a $25 bait to catch fish, because that's not the case. I have a Rapala jerkbait that I just replaced at Runnings the other night. This purple one, well, it's all stuck in everything else, but same thing. It's a confidence bait for me. I've had that purple one now for a couple years, and it was my go-to jerkbait for the longest time. Now I've got some other stuff, and we still, Ian and I will get out this season sooner than later and get a good jerkbait video for you when we can get on the bite and it's not blowing like crazy.
I do want to, one thing I want to touch on is, as crazy as it sounds, a $25 jerkbait, but the first thing I do when I take this thing out of the package, take the treble hooks off, and me and my buddy that I fish Wednesday nighters with, I mean, we've, in the last 2 years on this jerkbait right here, we've caught, I don't know, probably pushing 1,000 walleyes. I mean, it's in that, I mean, a lot of walleyes. And we can count, we can almost remember every single fish we've lost. We've lost so few. I mean, probably out of that amount of walleyes, we've lost, like we were just talking about it, I mean, 6 or 7 fish, like in 2 years on this bait.
Sorry, go ahead.
This is a Owner STX 38, and the replacement size for these baits is a size 6, and you will not convince me that those hooks don't make a huge difference.
So now what treble is Megabass putting at? Oh, that's the external barb. Yeah. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
Is that their hook?
Yeah, they sell it.
So here's what Ian's talking about. So this is the factory hooks that are on it, and you're not going to be able to see that, but it's got the external barb on it, meaning the barb is on the outside of the shank as opposed to on the inside.
The thing with a Megabass bait is you can't just replace them with any treble hook, because it is so critical if you change the weight at all on how that bait runs. So these are that, whatever Owner calls it, Zoe wire, and I've weighed them. They're almost identical in weight to the Megabass hook, so it doesn't change your action at all.
And that even looks like it's a touch bigger size-wise. Longer shank. Yeah. Interesting. That's like you said. It's funny to think that you would spend that kind of money on a lure and then immediately change hooks, but what works. And when it doesn't, especially when you're tournament fishing and you've got to have it right, that's interesting. That's interesting. It's funny. I'm sure the people at Megabass will be like, no, our hook's perfect. But you live and learn. So we will be back out soon and get real good footage, and we'll show you some live on the water stuff soon. But for today, we're gonna call it a day. Thanks, my friend.
Good day.
It's always fun fishing. You guys have a great day. The weekend's right around the corner. A couple bass tournaments going on this weekend to keep your eyes on out here. It's always interesting to see the weights that come in. Last night, Walleye Wednesday, you said was what, won it? 13?
Took 13.
13 and change.
Great bag. Yep.
And there's been some big, anything over 15 pounds.
Well, 15 pounds a set. We had 15 last week.
Right.
I mean, if you catch 15 pounds of walleyes on this lake in 3 hours, you did something. But,
yeah.
Anything. I mean, we always talk, and we're shooting for, like, if you can get in that 12.5 pound range, you got a chance on a Wednesday night.
Yep.
So yeah, 13 pounds was a great bag last night.
And you said they had a big turnout last night, 30 plus boats?
31 boats. Yeah, great crowd. Everybody stayed around. It was a pretty good night.
Well, we'll do a real quick pitch. What's entry fees for?
It's $40 to fish. I mean, the guy runs a great trail. It's $40 to fish. He's got some different sponsors. He's got a law firm that's donated $500 for 2 of the events, and Myers RV donates $500 for 2. So you show up, you don't know what night it's going to be, but there's an extra $500 in those pots that goes to your first whatever he pays down. So pretty cool. I mean,
it's a great time to be able for not a lot of money to get in. If you want to get into the tournament game or give it a shot, or if you've always said, hey, I'm getting them pretty good right now, you know, I wouldn't mind going to fishing Wednesday night. It's a great trail to get into. It's Walleye Wednesdays. You can find them on Facebook. Who is the tournament director? Who would you get a hold of? Would you go through Facebook?
Yeah, I can't remember. I think the guy's, I don't know.
I don't remember.
I'm terrible with names.
I know. Walleye Wednesdays on Facebook. You can go to their Facebook page, get all the information you want, and figure out they go out a South Shore boat launch every Wednesday night. And do they change the blast off times throughout the season?
It might get a little shorter. Yeah, the first week I think we came in at 8:30 or something. Now we're coming in at 9, but it'll stay till 9 because it's running through August now. So
okay.
5:30 to 9 at this point.
So if you're interested in getting into the tournament game and it's something fun to do on a Wednesday night, you know, go check out Walleye Wednesdays. And that'll do it for us for today. I will see everybody somewhere tomorrow. Thanks. Have a great day. Keep your tip up.